results have to come. Like we said, we can't go winless in the first 10 again with 3 draws and 7 losses and more red cards than goals through like the first 6 games. But if this team plays to the potential I think they may have, they can challenge for a playoff spot this year. And like we said before, that's all I'm hoping for. Challenge for a playoff spot this year, and that's a pretty big improvement year over year.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
What's going on, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy Daniel Kooser. Dan, how you doing, my friend? You holding up after that tough Super Bowl?
I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm over it. Moving on. I'm done. I don't need a moratorium. I'm done. It's soccer season now, baby. Let's focus up.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is I was talking to somebody in a group chat that I'm in, and they're an Eagles fan, and they said something like, "Oh, it's so nice to see Chiefs fans so sad." And I was like, "What Chiefs fans are you seeing that are so like?" I think Chiefs fans are bummed, but also like I think 3 rings in the last 5 years takes the sting out of it a little bit.
Feeling pretty good. Feeling fine. You know what I did?
It's fine.
Fell asleep in the fourth quarter. I've never done that in a Super Bowl. But I look at the score and I was like, starting to drift off, and I was like, that's fine. Yeah. I'll lean into that.
Well, the ads were bad this year. Yeah. Like there were the only thing that was even remotely memorable was the seal.
I thought the Lilo and Stitch trailer was kind of cool with the Stitch on the field and stuff.
Lilo and Stitch was clever. But I like
Thunderbolts trailer
was good. Didn't expect that. That was good. But ads weren't great. I will say, halftime show, I was a big fan. I'm a Kendrick fan. I saw some people say that they thought it started a little slow, which like Kendrick was telling a story and he was doing the theatrics. He was weaving. I mean, there was meaning. He was teasing Not Like Us straight from the get go, and he's like, no, not yet. Like there was a whole story, and then he hit Not Like Us. And let me tell you, I mean, I don't know how many of y'all are up on the Drake Kendrick beef, but I saw somebody, and this is the only way I could say it, is they're like, nobody has ever lost a rap battle more in the history of rap battles than Drake has, and that includes people that have literally been shot and killed in rap battles. Like, this man had 80,000 people in unison on the most watched television of all time screaming that Drake is a pedophile together.
I mean,
like, it's insane.
The most insane thing, though, is that it's taken everyone this long to be a part of that, because I've heard the rumblings of that for years, literally for years. Do you remember when you used some sort of Drake song for a No Other Pod post, and I had a friend of mine message me and tell me about all of this, and I was like, oh, I honestly had no idea. Let me reach out to Jimmy. And you were the same way. Don't know, but it was years ago.
Must right on the first.
Just been going. Yeah. So this has been a thing for a year, and only like real ones know. So now it's becoming a freaking, great thing, like a huge thing. But you didn't know when I told you. You were like, oh, well, I'll take that down. I had no idea.
Yeah, I must have blocked that from my memory, but
years ago, bro. We've been at this for how long? We're on year 8 right now.
8 years. Yeah, that was my dog's tail. If you're watching on YouTube, he's laying down here. I started getting suspicious of Drake when he was hanging out with Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things and like texting, and she was like 15, and I was like, this something seems wrong. This is not a thing that normal grown men do. I don't like this. And Kendrick, as Kendrick showed in lights at the end of the set, game over. I mean, I was hyped. And then he played TV Off, and I love TV Off. TV Off was great. So it was a good halftime show.
It was enjoyable. So, and the game's over. And guess what? You guys tuned in for the best part, for us to talk about preseason soccer. I mean, who doesn't love that?
I do. This is speaking of the Super Bowl, and before we transition Florida soccer, this is obviously not a fun thing to talk about, but I do feel like we need to mention, I do want to send, our thoughts and condolences to the family of Eden Manzano. He's a local Telemundo reporter. He was tragically found dead in New Orleans, and it seems like there is some suspicious circumstances if you follow the reporting surrounding his death. I knew Aden not very well. Sorry, my dog barking at the wrong time. I knew Aden not very well, but we had run into each other quite a bit at Sporting KC and KC Current games, and he was nothing but a most professional, very kind. And so, yeah, this is just very, very tragic, and there's more investigations to come. But if you're interested in helping his family, I posted on Blue Sky their GoFundMe, so they could use all the help they could get right now because his wife passed tragically in a car accident last year, I want to say, and he has a daughter that just turned 2 years old. So it's pretty terrible.
What a horrible tragedy for both of them to go like that, so close together, and this little girl. I'm just like, now you're hearing like there's possible foul play involved, and it's like, what in God's name? I don't know, man. I'm interested to see what all happened, but it doesn't sound good.
It's not good. The person that has been arrested in connection with it, at least the lady who was using his credit card, they found, has a history of drugging and stealing men's financial information. So it's not good. I had a bad feeling when I was reading the reporting early on. I was like, they're talking about this like there might be some criminal activity involved, not by him, but by somebody else. And yeah, so our thoughts and condolences to his family. I can't imagine what they're going through right now. Just a really just like fundamentally decent person that was lost at 27 years old. So
the whole city and all the sports teams really came together to like make public posts about it and stuff. So
yeah,
pretty wild, man.
Yeah. So thoughts out to Adam's family. And then I guess no real great way to transition off of that, but I guess the official transition from Chiefs to Sporting KC related stuff is, did you see that even though they are not on the team anymore, Johnny, Russell, Tim Melia, and Andre Fontes all were down in New Orleans at the Superdome in their Chiefs gear, cheering on the Chiefs.
Yeah, they went to the game, huh?
Yeah. So
that's pretty crazy.
It's pretty cool. I mean, they've spent many years in Kansas City, even though they're not on the team anymore. So, but it's cool to see that, like, regardless of what happened with the club, like clearly they still have, an affinity for the city and other teams here and such. So it's still cool to see that.
Well, and like they weren't Chiefs fans before coming here, but like being here, they get jerseys, they get season tickets together with Shallowy and whatnot, and they're just huge fans now. I just thought that was crazy, man. Considering the average Super Bowl ticket price is around $5,000 or whatever, probably more.
Oh, it's stupid.
It's pretty wild.
More. I saw they were advertising it's a like guaranteed ticket to watch the game, and I was like, careful with that wording. And they was talking about like food and everything you get, but it was in like a luxury box, but it was in the arena across the street from the Super Bowl where the Pelicans play, and it was $5,000 a person. But I was like, that's why you got to be careful what you're buying, because it said guaranteed ticket to watch the game, not to attend the game. No, you were watching the game in whatever the Pelicans arena is. It used to be Smoothie King, I want to say. I don't know.
How is that fair? How is that okay?
I don't know.
You out of your
I was like, that sucks.
And like what? No refunds and stuff. I would scorch the earth. I'd burn that place to the ground. Smoothie King, more like smithereens. That's what I would burn it down to.
It's still it's bad, but I don't know. People were paying crazy amounts of money. So, but I was talking to my brother who's a Chiefs fan, Eddie, and he was like, "This just not that any of us have the money to afford going to a Super Bowl, but he was like, this game just solidified that I will never buy a ticket to a Super Bowl. Because can you imagine, like, you're a Chiefs fan spending tens of thousands of dollars on this trip to then have to watch that game?
I mean, I just love my gorgeous man, Paul Rudd. He just had hands in his hands, or face in his hands. He was just so distraught.
So sad. So, but
anyway. We're fine. Hey, soccer season's here, man. MLS is back. It's coming. Like, it is. Holy shit. Like, there's games next week.
Real from today.
Meaningful soccer.
If you're listening to this on Tuesday when this comes out, a week from today, Sporting Kansas City is hosting Inter Miami in CONCACAF Champions Cup. Now, let me check. I texted this to you earlier today. The likelihood of Lionel Messi playing
seems low.
I don't know. Now, the weather has changed even a little bit since I texted you earlier, because earlier today, when we're recording this, it showed a percent chance of snow. Apple has now removed that, which, let's be honest, nobody knows what's happening a week out in Kansas, Missouri weather. But right now, it's saying that the high is probably going to be around freezing. So it's probably not going to shift that drastically. We're not going to have earlier this week or last week, whatever it was, we had a 60-degree day and it was gorgeous. It's not going to be that. So I think the likelihood of Lionel Messi playing next Tuesday might be lower, even though he's on the CONCACAF Champions Cup roster.
Yeah, sounds crazy. I still can't believe we're in this damn thing. I mean, well, you got to be a champion to be in this thing. I'm excited.
It's so funny. Every once in a while, a friend of mine or one of my friends who's an MLS fan of another team, they'll look at the schedule and they're like, "Why is Sporting Kansas City in the CONCACAF Champions Cup? How did this happen?" And I'm like, technicality.
We'll take it.
All you got to do is get in. If Messi does play, I'm gonna guess that he probably makes an appearance off the bench, but I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he plays for the first half and then comes off, depending how it is. Who knows? We'll see. But
depending how it is, I'm interested. Okay, I'm interested. Yeah. We got to watch some actual soccer this week of Sporting Kansas City, and there was different lineups and whatnot. But the starters, I feel a little impressed. I don't know. I don't feel nervous. I feel hopeful, and that's all we can ask for after a year like last year, man.
Yeah, it's we'll definitely talk about some of these preseason games here in just a minute, probably after our break here in a second.
Don't talk about it. What I want. What don't tell me?
No, I'm not telling you to stop. I have some thoughts too, and a lot of people have thoughts, and I tend to agree with you more than some of the hot takes I'm seeing online.
I wouldn't.
The last thing I did want to point out just before we take our break and then hit these preseason games is this is something that Sporting has done before, and I think it's pretty cool. And in the past, we've been vocal about when the club doesn't sort of take a stand on some social issues that we'd like to see as much. And this is a low bar, but I do like highlighting and appreciate that, given that it is Black History Month and given some of the social climate that we're in the country right now, to put it mildly, I appreciate that Sporting Kansas City is once again putting out their list of Kansas City-based Black-owned businesses that you can go support, particularly restaurants and such. If you go to their social media, they've created a map and a guide online that takes you to some honestly really good restaurants, bakeries, businesses, gyms around the Kansas City area. So you can go check it out. I think it's pretty cool, especially right now, given what's happening to people of color and minorities and LGBTQ plus people and all of that. I think it's important to show brands that we support when they do highlight and lift up these communities, and that we should do the same if we can. So just wanted to throw that out there. But
yeah, man. Appreciate you doing that.
Let's take our break real quick, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some Sporting Kansas City soccer. So we'll be right back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Let me talk to you. We got let them know. We got preseason soccer this last week, man, and it was a Wednesday evening and it was a Sunday afternoon, and it was just so fun to see the guys back out there. And it was a little bit of a brain twist. We didn't have names on jerseys, right? I felt like I was like, oh, they got to earn them. They got to get through preseason camp to earn their names back. But it really tested my brain in the sense of like, okay, whose number is that again? That's Bolider or fucking Tim Leibold. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, it was hard, especially because so many of the faces we've come to know and love over the years are not with Sporting Kansas City anymore. You're right. We had 2 games. The first one was on February 5th against New York City FC as part of the Coachella Valley Invitational. This one was the one of the 2 games that had more starters start the game. Pulskamp was in there. Yeah, Pulskamp was in there.
For Joveljic went like half hour.
Yes, 30 minutes. Yeah, 31 minutes. But which honestly, I mean, I don't even know if he had more than 1 or 2 training sessions with the team.
Right.
So to go 30, I mean, Good news for Sporting KC, I guess, is Jovic was in LA and he just had to basically hop in his car, drive a couple hours, and get to Coachella.
And that's
So
how
it was pretty easy. He probably hadn't even been to, or I can guarantee he hadn't even been to Kansas City yet by the time he's playing with Sporting KC in his first game.
they're like, here's your jersey. Thanks for showing up. It's like a little bit.
Here.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm the coach. Good to see you.
But the starters that did, or presumed starters, I should say, that did get some time. Pulse Camp, obviously the number one. Jake Davis. Let's see here. I don't know if Leibold's a starter necessarily. Nemanja Radia, probably a starter. Daniel Shallowy, probably a starter. Dejan Jovic, probably a starter. And Eric Tommy, probably a starter. So they all went between 30 and 60 minutes. And I don't know about you, but I see something. I mean, we talked last week about Jovic at length and sort of his ability to make space and create opportunities for other people and some of his off-the-ball movements and such. He and Shallowy had probably played together for a total of like 2 hours in training, if that. I see some things that might develop that I like. I don't know about you.
I like him, dude. I like it a lot. I Jovic, what, Dijon? Is that what you call? We're calling him Dijon.
Dion.
Dion. Man,
Yeah,
oh man,
like
we
what
gotta
Dion
find
Landers.
we gotta find a nickname for this dude or something, dude. Like, it's just that the last name. Everyone's saying it differently. I it's gonna skew my way of saying it. I don't like that. I want to just know the way, and so I can put that.
You want to call him Dion?
Yeah, or we can call him Mustard. We can call him Mustard. That would be a hell of a time.
His name's Dion. It's not Dijon. If it was Dijon, I'd be with you.
100%. I see it too, though, dude. I texted you and I said, okay, this little combination with Shallowy here could be a time. Pretty excited about that.
We were like simultaneously texting each other about the exact same thing because we both saw it. It was so funny.
Fun, dude. It was fun. And then just nice to see the hunger of wanting to get better, you know, the speed of everybody on the field. Like, New York City's a great team. We've seen them being playoff teams year after year. MLS Cup not long ago. I mean, they're good, and we kept them off the board. That felt good.
It just felt like, you know, even though Jovic only went 30 minutes, and even though he hasn't really trained with Sporting Kansas City hardly at all yet, I saw some early signs of what can come in the attack that seemed more lively than when Alan Pulido was in there. Like Pulido, whether it was because of his knee or he just got tired or what, because he did score in his first game back with Chivas in Liga MX. Yeah. But for whatever reason, he just didn't have that sort of spark anymore. Like when you saw him early with his time in Sporting Kansas City, you could be like, damn, this dude, he's talented, he's creating things, he's helping other people, and it just kind of fell off. Jovic is doing that. And I think having Tommy on the wing, like we've talked about before, will be great for him. Having Shallowy out there with somebody who's just quite honestly more willing to do what he needs to do in Jovic to create dangerous attacking chances, I think will help him. And we don't even have our DP number 10 in Garcia or the new TAM winger. They're still waiting on their visas. And we did get confirmation that the winger, Suleimanov, is going to be a TAM player. So he's above the max budget charge, but not a designated player. So when you have a TAM winger and a DP number 10 still to come in, like you said, there are some things in this attack that we might see some goals this year if things break right.
Dude, I'm not trying to count chickens before they hatch by any means, but I do feel very optimistic about stuff and turning stuff around, dude, especially with getting so many different pieces. There's nothing on film to show anybody what these players are like with Kansas City, you know, because they have not been with Kansas City. So if our roster's having a bit of a turnover, that's an upper hand situation for us, man.
It's certainly a turnover in the attack. I mean, Daniel Sperry in the Star, he wrote this week a little bit more about some of these acquisitions, and my dog's pushing my computer. It's very interesting if you have a Star subscription to be able to read what they said, because there's some great quotes from both Mike Burns and Peter Vermees in there. I mean, Burns flat out says the Alan Pulido transfer changed things dramatically for us. If that transfer doesn't happen, the Dion deal is close to impossible. So
good point.
That shows you right there how quickly some things can change in this transfer window. But I mean, Sperry highlights out they've spent $9 million in this one window alone, which is a lot of money historically for Sporting Kansas City. It's not the most by any means in this window, but for people who were questioning as ownership was talking about an increased budget and all that stuff, and when we heard a lot of, talk is cheap, followed up with your money and your actions. First transfer window they drop $9 million. That's a pretty good start.
It's a pretty good start. I mean, we can't be mad about this stuff at all.
Right.
And I don't know, man. I'm not mad about the way preseason's going. I'm not mad that we're getting actual access to these games when years past we didn't get that at all. I mean, you could literally stream it on YouTube on your television. Like that didn't always used to be that way. So I'm feeling I don't know. I'm in very good spirits here. Things feel good. Yeah. I think everyone. Hold on, let me check the Facebook post. Oh, nope, still a lot of Fire for Me stuff there. Never mind.
Well, what's also interesting that, was in Sperry's story and some of the quotes he got from Vermees and from Burns is I think people, and we have talked about this probably for the better part of 2 years on this podcast. Sometimes we know what we're talking about. The biggest problem we have been banging the drum with how Sporting KC has been structured in recent years, honestly, in my genuine opinion, and I think you said the same thing, has not been that Peter can't do it as coach anymore. It's that you can't have your coach also be the sporting director. You're doing 2 full-time jobs, and it just doesn't work in modern MLS anymore. And we kept saying, make him do one or the other, but Peter can't be doing both. And we always thought that if he was going to choose one or the other, he was going to be coach. He wasn't going to let go of being coach and be sporting director.
Of course.
Well, in this story, they talk about how the acquisitions of Garcia and Suleimanov probably wouldn't have gone through had Mike Burns not been available to literally fly over to Greece and push those deals across the line. And Peter Vermees was quoted himself as saying, with some of the things that we have coming up, there's just no way I could have spent that time traveling. There's just no way. So I think that is Peter openly confirming and admitting that this is such an important thing in terms of the structure of this club on the sporting side, having somebody full-time like Mike Burns being able to go get these deals across the line and ensure that they happen. And that's why suddenly in the first real window, when you have an actual sporting director and a revamped budget from ownership, you spend $9 million, you get 2 new designated players and a TAM attacking player.
Oh, yeah.
Again, good signs of things to come.
Seriously, dude. Exciting stuff.
Now, I guess as good of a transition to the second game as any is the thing that has not been touched really year over year, aside from letting somebody like Andrea Fontes go, is the back line. I think if there are questions about this team, it's what is the back line and what is the defense going to look like? Because I want to say Sporting KC let up 66 goals in MLS play last year, which is near the worst in the league. Many of those came from set pieces, and as we know, many of them came from just silly mental errors or games snowballing over time. We'd play 80 to 85 minutes of decent soccer and then 5 to 10 minutes of things just falling apart. So preseason game number 2 in Coachella Valley against Minnesota United, you look at the scoreline, 6-0, you're like, uh-oh, defensive problems. But I think you and I both agree it's not as cut and dry as that scoreline seems to show.
Well, I texted you about 60 minutes in. I said, hey, you're safe to turn on the game now. Like now it might be exciting. The lineup was our young guys. And you might have never even heard of a lot of these guys before.
Right.
But some, Linus Vargas was in there. I mean, Mason Toy, who I don't assume to be a starter, maybe.
No, he's a depth guy.
I mean, I would be remiss in saying that he missed the net completely on a penalty kick on Wednesday night. So that is unfortunate.
It's not good. He's had some good moments, but he's clearly not going to be the primary penalty taker for Sporting KC.
Most people like sky it over the goal. You don't really see people go wide like that.
Yeah, it was bad.
All I got to say is you need to appreciate your free throw shooters in basketball because they make these free throws. If a penalty kicker can't get it on frame, I'm a little worried about that. I don't think he's going to be our penalty kick taker.
Nope, you have to at minimum get it on frame. I mean, you could have a bad penalty kick, but if the keeper makes a save, I mean, if nothing else,
kick it right at the keeper. Kick it right at him. Who gives
right? If nothing else, even if it's a bad penalty, like on average, penalty kick conversion rates are about 80%. So like 8 out of 10 times on average, you're going to convert the penalty kick. even if it's a bad penalty kick, if you just get it on frame, you're probably looking at a 50% chance of converting because the keeper has to just dive one way or the other more often than
Yes.
so.
Bro,
just get it
this
on
was
frame.
It was a no pressure situation. You're literally in the Coachella Valley Invitational. It looks like a freaking recreational soccer complex. All right, surrounded by a white picket fence. By the way, like it is.
Right.
I mean, who's putting that up for the fans?
It also looked very hot if you saw how sweaty John Polskamp was.
The big bear was sweating, that's for sure. But this second game, shit was flipped on its head. Now our starters really only played 30 minutes instead of the 60 that they played before.
The final 30 minutes, which is important.
Yes. I think they do have another game like this Wednesday, another preseason situation.
Behind closed doors.
Yeah, it's not broadcast or anything, so that's whatever. I will say, goddamn, Ryan Shaway gets no help this whole time. He got a touchdown dropped on him until finally 6 goals happened and we bring on our starters and we never got scored on again. And the game was essentially the fastest I'd seen it because it was looking pretty slow. I was like, what is this? Sporting KC preschool? Like these children cannot be out here expected to deal with Oluwaseyi. Like that man is he's a starter, right?
Oh yeah, Minnesota had starters.
Okay, that was their starters versus our like academy, and it's like, okay, I'm glad you feel good about yourself because we're just out here having fun.
Yeah. It was. I'm not going to pretend that I can sit here and say that all 11 people that Minnesota played were their starters, but they had multiple starters. Yes, quite a few of them were starters and were good attacking players. So it was
Kelvin Yeboah. I mean, I know he starts.
I'm pretty sure. I'm going to butcher his name, unfortunately, but Hangwane for Minnesota United, he was in there. He's one of their better attacking players. I mean,
oh yeah,
they had a decent. Their lineup was far superior to the reserves and trialists that we largely put out.
But here's what you don't do: if you're a fan of soccer at all, you know what a preseason game is. You know you shouldn't go to a Facebook post and start criticizing the team. Like all you're doing is saying you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You can't possibly know if you think that 6-0 scoreline against our academy kids means jack shit. Because that last 30 minutes, we played the big boys and nothing happened, bro. We were handling business.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can say, I think I said last week they were winless, which I think is actually wrong. They were 1-3-1, so they won one game. But the LA Galaxy last year in the preseason did not have a good preseason.
Yeah.
They won MLS Cup. The Detroit Lions that went 0-16, they went undefeated in their preseason. Yeah. Preseasons do not matter. Preseasons are about trying to get especially when 2 of our key signings haven't even been able to join the team yet because they're waiting for visas, which we'll see how long that takes given the current situation.
How can you in good faith go on a Facebook post and start saying that we're trash based off of this result?
Right.
You don't know. These are bots, right? These are all bots. If you're listening to this and you did this, I'm very ashamed of you. I'm disappointed.
I just, like you said, I am cautiously optimistic about this team this year. I think defense is the big question. I think we will see how Joaquin Fernandez can do a lot. I mean, Danny Rosero, he hasn't even been playing really from much.
He got in for a minute.
15 minutes. I made a cameo. Willie Agata.
Is that because he's struggling? Does he have an injury?
Rosero? They're just being cautious. Yeah, just making sure that they're fit. Willie Agata, Peter said he probably could have gone, but they just decided not to. He'll get some minutes on Wednesday. So
William, shut your mouth with this Willie's business. He is a grown-up man. He is
right. William Agata is how he has requested to be referred to, which I'm gonna have to.
You should be embarrassed.
I've been so trained calling him Willie, and even the team had called him Willie, so it's gonna take some time. Right. So yes, thank you.
Changed his mind,
reminding me. I'm not worried based on this one result. We didn't have Joaquin Fernandez. We didn't have Logan Ndembe. We didn't have William Agata. We barely had Danny Rosero. I mean, and these are all guys who are going to get more minutes on Wednesday. And those are all the starters.
Vargas played like 20 minutes too. Alennis Vargas played like 19.
So this is just everybody chill out.
You know who I saw bad for in the first half, giving up fucking 5 goals in the first half? Was Kyrie Shelton out there. He was having to play papa to all these children.
Yeah. And what I don't want people to do is I don't want people to put any amount of blame on Kyrie for a sick performance.
That's not a choice you have because that's just a thing that's probably happening.
Well, so what's interesting is I've seen not a lot of people, but some people, because I've seen the standard. Oh, of course we're going to start Kyrie at right back, but I've seen some people even on the Reddit go, okay, y'all, I think we're taking the Kyrie meme a little too far. He wasn't actually that bad at right back last year. He's sure not going to be shouldn't be a starting striker or winger or whatnot. But if you look at him and Jake compared, like maybe we need to just like he's not going to be an all-star right back, but also like he's not terrible. So like let's maybe ease up a little bit.
Well, here's the thing Peter Vermees and the coaching staff are not doing. They're certainly not looking at social media and being like, oof, no one likes Kyrie. I should probably pull him from right back. Like, the man did an adequate job, so he got playing time. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, and once he gets, alongside Danny Rosero and Joaquin Fernandez and presumably Logan Ndembe and Nemanja Radia is in front of him and Jake Davis is in the midfield and Manu Garcia is at DP number 10 and then you got Jovic and Suleymanov and or Shalawi and Tommy. Like, suddenly, that's not a terrible 11.
Slow down. I'm going to have to change my pants. You just got me all sorts of excited. And I'm getting soccer season's here, baby. It's exciting.
Yeah. And for those people who are still banging the drum about the transfer window, Vermees said they would still like to add players all over the field. They're looking at all lines. And Burns, Burns said that if they had to choose lines to focus on, he's still probably focusing on the midfield and the defense right now, which is good because the attack looks like they've brought in some good, solid reinforcements. This is what competent management looks like. And so all those people who, for the first 2 months of the offseason, was like, they said they would do something and they're not doing anything. And we were all like, transfer window hadn't even opened yet. Like, just simmer down a little bit. Suddenly it looks like they know what they're doing. So,
yeah.
We'll see. Now, results have to come. Like we said, we can't go winless in the first 10 again with 3 draws and 7 losses and more red cards than goals through like the first 6 games. But if this team plays to the potential I think they may have, they can challenge for a playoff spot this year. And like we said before, that's all I'm hoping for. Challenge for a playoff spot this year, and that's a pretty big improvement year over year.
Yeah.
So I'd love it if they could have a positive goal differential. Even if it's a slight one, a positive goal differential. So
I know, man. I don't know how we're going to come out. I just, a lot of changes this year. A lot of changes. I'm being patient. I know nothing, you don't build Rome overnight. It's not going to happen. But like there are pieces here that literally gives me like a sense of joy in my chest that I didn't have at the end of last season. Like I was so like, oh my God, I hate this. And this does not feel like that. So let's get pumped, man. I'm out. I'm up.
Yeah. So we'll see. Speaking of being pumped, Sporting Kansas City has announced that Sunday, February 16th at KC Live from 2 to 4, they're doing a kickoff block party at the Power and Light District. I would love to be there. I'm probably not going to be able to go because I'm still helping my dog heal back from her surgery, but it's a pre-event.
Help me.
Yeah. Because you're having yours on Friday, right?
I am, yes.
So yeah, you're not going to be able to go to this either. But for those of you who are maybe able to go, I'd love for you to reach out to us and let us know how it went, what you think. It sounds cool. I mean, it's a free event. They're going to have the entire Sporting Kansas City roster there. They said a full team appearance. There's music, games, prizes, giveaways, merchandise. Team's 2025 primary jersey, which MLS teased earlier in the day on Monday that all of the jerseys are going to be officially released this week. So if you're a season ticket member, you're going to have exclusive access to no other pub for something. So, this sounds pretty cool. It also sounds like in the story highlighting this that they fully expect Manu Garcia to be available next Tuesday, February 18th, because they said led by new designated player duo forward Dejan Jovic and midfielder Manu Garcia, Sporting will kick off the 2025 season on February 18th at Children's Mercy Park, like with a highly anticipated matchup against Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. So they're talking as if Messi's going to play. But they also sound like they're thinking that Manu Garcia will be here and all of his visa issues will be a thing of the past. So,
wow.
See. But I don't know. I mean, I haven't been to one of these events in a little while. I feel like it's been a minute since they've done a bigger one like this, maybe. I don't know.
Sounds cool, man.
But like, do you remember back in the day when they did like the warehouse party when they launched their jerseys that were like the grid jerseys and such? Like those were fun. I really enjoyed going to those as a fan. So I think the more they can do stuff like this, the more it just does provide that good, fun fan experience that makes the fans feel closer to the team. And that helps bridge the gap, especially if the results aren't going the way that you want on the field all the time. There are still other elements of this club that make it fun to be a fan of.
For sure.
So, I don't know. I'm glad that they're doing it. I hope fans turn out for it. It'll be interesting to see once we see this full kit, because I know there are some thoughts about the kit design this year. So we'll see the official photos.
There are indeed.
I think it's growing on me.
Is it?
I think the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I see the vision. And I think
have you gotten every kit since you've become a fan? Have you missed a few?
That's a great question. I think so I don't get like the specialty kits, like the special, like, theme night kits, really. There were a couple of the like recycled ocean jerseys that I got, but that was about it.
I don't. Do you get all the secondary and primary
like
jerseys?
Primary and secondary kits? I think I do actually own every single one.
I know I missed the last one, and it's gone forever.
The last couple by way of the media game, and it just had to work out that the team that I got put on for the media game was that jersey that I didn't have that year. So.
But they're replica jerseys, right?
They're replicas. They're not authentic. When I buy the jerseys, I usually buy the authentic ones.
Yeah, same.
Like the fit of it and stuff.
I was just curious. My OCD is going a little crazy because I know the one they just retired this past year is gone forever now, and I did not get that one. So I'm kind of feeling a certain way, and I don't like that.
I think I actually do have every primary, secondary, and even third jersey that the team has launched since 2014 when I moved here. I've either bought it or been given it by the club for media games. So
cool.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I mean, they're expensive. It's kind of it sucks to have to drop $130 on a jersey. So
I know, man, it's rough. If only the club wanted to do a fun little unboxing video with us, it'd be cool.
Hey, y'all know how to find us. I know y'all are listening. There are people in the club that listen to this podcast. We will happily work with you to do a reveal of some sort.
Those are the same people that despise some of the shit we say.
Probably. I think we're fair. I think we are more than fair.
Not everyone likes fair.
Yeah, that's true. I don't think. Hopefully, I don't think the club has a problem with us. I would like to.
You don't think they've ever had a problem?
I'm sure there are things we've said where they're like, I don't love that. But again, I think we do a pretty decent job of trying to be fair. We weren't ever on the Fire Vermees train that a lot of people were on. I feel like a more measured voice. So,
yeah. And media day, we're not gonna be able to make it to media day this year, man.
I know that sucks. I was really hoping to go to media day until I found out my dog was gonna have to have surgery. So I'm very bummed about that. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to pull it off. I'm gonna try to see if I can have somebody come watch her to maybe get to this Miami game. If things go well, I might be able to pull that off, but we'll see. I'm just not sure. So I don't know, man. I just, overall, I'm just pretty excited. I think that we're seeing real live sporting Kansas City soccer right now. I'm excited that there seems to be a positive trajectory for this club. We have gone from being one of the older teams in MLS to being one of the younger teams in MLS in terms of like some of the key players, especially in the starting 11. This is, if you're going to do a full turnaround, this is probably about as perfect of a first window as you could reasonably ask for, given where we were coming from and given that we are not an LA or Miami team. So I don't know. I'm very excited. And, I'm sure we'll talk next week before the Miami game a little bit more about that game, try to preview it. We'll know a little bit more about specifically if we've been telegraphed whether Messi's going to play or not. We'll know a little bit more about the weather. We can know how things went Wednesday after that preseason game. So it'll be pretty interesting. A lot of MLS voices still keeping Sporting pretty low on their power rankings or their predictions. I think Matt Doyle still has us as like the third or fourth worst team, which I'd rather that than them overestimate us.
I don't want to be overestimated and then be trash. I would love to be like, oh, hey, who are these dark horses? Let's be that dark horse. You never know, man.
And I'm gonna be honest, if I am, if I weren't a Sporting Kansas City fan, like I'm not sure that I would want to give the benefit of the doubt per se to Sporting Kansas City, given recent history. Like I totally get the more like you got to prove it before we start believing in you type deal.
Sure.
So that's why I think, these first 10 games of the regular season are going to be so telling. I know Peter says it takes 10 games to really sort of get the groove and know what sort of team you have. But we have seen each of the last couple of years what digging yourself into too deep of a hole in those first 10 games does. So a quick start. And similarly, when St. Louis had their first season, we saw what going 5-0-0 in your first 5 games can do, because they were below average the second half of the year and they still hosted a home playoff game.
Yeah.
So
I would love to come out guns blazing, man. Even prove a little something against Miami here next Tuesday. Wouldn't that be something?
Man, that'd be so fun. Be so fun.
Oh, yeah.
So it does suck that game is relegated to Fox Sports 2, because it's not even a Fox Sports 1 game. That is what MLS Soccer does. I just feel like Fox Sports 2, not as many people get it.
Oh, okay.
You're going to have one. I mean, maybe people do now, but like, I don't know. I just feel like if it's on FS1, it's going to be easier for people to find. FS2, it's just like, it's, not as obvious. So,
ESPN the Ocho,
Right. But, speaking of PSA, I guess, if you're a T-Mobile customer and you bought MLS Season Pass last year, cancel it before it renews, because T-Mobile customers are going to get it for free again this year like we did 2 years ago. So
I got mine for free for being a season ticket holder. Ready to go.
Members are going to still get it. So, yeah, we'll see. So just, you don't want to get charged $99 for something that you can get for free otherwise.
Absolutely, dude. And it's pretty legit platform too. You might even want to look at Apple TV, man, because they got a pretty cool little MLS docu-series coming out that from like the drive from the F1 documentary people from Netflix. It's going to be a hell of a time.
Yeah. So, and they have made it easier to purchase MLS Season Pass. You can buy it, I guess, now just like straight through DirecTV or Verizon, whatever their TV service is or whatnot. So, should be a little bit easier now to access it, even if you're not somebody who wants to go through Apple TV. But like you said, there's some good stuff on Apple TV. So
now, but this Miami game will not be on Season Pass, right? Just FS2.
Right now, it's just showing FS2, at least according to MLSsoccer.com. I think it's because CONCACAF is the one who negotiates the broadcast rights for it. So it's not one of those deals like a MLS regular season game where it's simulcast. I think it's only on FS2.
Okay.
So,
cool beans.
But I'm surprised they don't want to put Lionel Messi on FS1.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or Big Fox even. But whatever. Nobody knows what CONCACAF Champions Cup is. So
all I know is that we're in it, so we must be great.
We're in it. We earned it. We must be champions of something.
Champions, baby.
Only champions end up in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Champions of participation.
Yeah. You got anything else you want to talk about for our good listeners right now?
Man, that's it, dude. I mean, there's nothing to look forward to this week, really, except for that kickoff party, little block party on Sunday.
That's fun.
But that's about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for listening and sticking with us through this offseason. This is the penultimate, I guess, off-season podcast. Next week will be the final podcast officially of the Sporting KC offseason, and then we'll be back with real competitive, meaningful Sporting Kansas City soccer for the 2025 season. So thank you so much for sticking with us through the offseason. Make sure you leave us that 5-star rating and review. Let us know what you want us to hear about in the 2025 season. We always do our game reactions and such, but if there's something you want us to do more of this year, if you want us to get people from other podcasts on to preview the team that we're going to play, let us know. If you want us to talk to more fans, let us know. Whatever you want us to do, let us know, and we'll do our best to try it. Want to make sure that we're keeping you entertained. But leave us that 5-star rating and review and let us know. You can also get us through social at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. You can always shoot us an email, nootherpod@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer, or via the Kansas City Sports Network app. But until next time, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Pour one out for the Chiefs, y'all.